Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mind Window. Have you ever found yourself asking, what is love really? In a world filled with heartbreak and happy endings, it can be impossible to know what to believe. Today, we're diving deep into that very question. We'll journey through the dizzying highs and the crushing lows, the fairy tales we're told, and the harsh realities we often face. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end, because we're going to uncover some surprising truths, even about our most beloved icons, that might just change the way you see love forever. Why won't you have me? We're in love. We're promised to each other, just waiting for the right day. Love? What on earth is that? I don't get it. But me? I have money, lots of it. I can make you more beautiful than you can imagine. Just look. No, never. You can't put a price on what we have. Love again. What is it? Seriously, what is love? Has anyone on this earth ever truly answered that question? How do you even begin to define something so boundless? One afternoon, it captures your soul with the fading light, a soft cloud, a gentle whisper of the wind. Love is something you can't define, or more accurately, something you can't hold on to. One minute you think you've got it right in your grasp, and the next, it's already slipped away. In that one fleeting moment you thought you had everything, you're suddenly left with nothing but an endless void. One moment, happiness is blooming on your lips, and in the blink of an eye, it becomes the bitter taste of a tear-soaked goodbye. But no matter what, whether you're rich or poor, old or young, man or woman, everyone gets to be a fool for love at least once. Because how can you truly live if you don't love? And in the end, it's love that makes the world sing again. So let's get into it. Do you still believe in love? After all the heartache, the countless breakups, and all those tears? That couple who dated for 3 years and then just ended it? That other couple you envied? The one that was always so affectionate? Now they're strangers. You see the husband and wife from down the street dragging each other to court. You see the mother with a child on her hip screaming curses at her husband until her voice is raw. People letting people down, betrayal and heartbreak everywhere. You've reached this point in your life. You've fallen in love so many times. The what are we situations, the one-sided crushes, the relationships that just cracked under pressure. But now you still feel like a kid at a crossroads, unsure whether to step forward or back. You doubt everything, wondering if this new feeling is really love or just another illusion you've tricked yourself into believing. Before you decide whether you still have faith in love, let's answer this first. What do you truly expect from it? What are you hoping for, right now or in the future, before you commit to someone seriously? To not be lonely anymore, to feel happy, to feel safe, to be loved, to be validated? You could fill 100 blank spaces with 100 different answers. But you know, the very things we crave are a reflection of our own state of mind when we enter a relationship. Think about it. Why do we choose to love? Because we're lonely? We hope that love will make us feel less alone, less adrift. Because we're sad, we wish for a relationship that will bring us laughter and joy. Because we yearn for recognition, we want our partner to see the effort we're making. We keep scrambling to find love, meeting new people, rushing into a new romance, and then just as quickly rushing into pain. We try to use love as a patch for our own inner emptiness. We want love to fill the voids within ourselves, but because of that, love can never truly be whole. But what if it were the other way around? What if we entered a relationship with the desire to give, to help complete our partner, to bring them happiness, to build a sanctuary together? That kind of sincere, beautiful love, that is the love that will surely find you. In this day and age, so many of us tend to idealize love. Movies, novels, comics, they build these epic love stories with perfect endings, worshiping love as the ultimate goal in life, the solution to every problem and every pain. But after the prince finds the princess and gives her that magical kiss, are we so sure they really lived happily ever after? Because we idealize love, we overestimate it. We blindly search for a fairy tale romance without ever truly preparing for the reality of it. And then, when our fantasy shatters, we turn and blame love itself. We lose faith. We cry out that love is pain. But you know what? That's a huge misunderstanding. On its own, love isn't painful. Loneliness is painful. Deceit is painful. Jealousy is painful. Betrayal is what causes the suffering. We so often confuse those feelings with love itself. At its core, love is meant to be good, free from suffering. A true love is a love without pain. But in a world like this, how do we find that truly beautiful kind of love? Everyone has their own way of defining and searching for the love of their life. For John Lennon, a member of the legendary band The Beatles, he believed that all you need is love, even writing a song with that very title. And yet, perhaps he never truly found what he was singing about. After all, he was violent towards two of his wives, mistreated his son, and abandoned his family with barely any support. On the flip side, you have Trent Reznor, the infamous wild rock star, who came to see that love isn't the be-all and end-all. This is a man who was famous for his shocking performances, his disturbingly bizarre music videos, and lyrics so raw and visceral they could turn your stomach. And yet, this is the same man who successfully battled his addictions, married a wonderful woman, became a father to her 2 children, and once canceled an entire album and tour just so he could be home to be a good husband and a present father. So, between these two, who truly has the right perspective on love? Is the thing we so often talk about even love at all? What are we really searching for in these relationships? Is sacrifice love? Is taking care of someone love? Is understanding them love? Is that electrifying, soul-shaking passion you feel for each other love? And if it is any of that truly enough? When we believe that all you need is love, we risk becoming like John Lennon, using the very idea of love as a banner to hide behind, a beautiful excuse to justify our own flaws and mistakes. But if you lean more towards Reznor's conclusion that love isn't everything, it means you've truly understood a profound truth. A stable, lasting relationship requires so much more than just fleeting emotions and the initial fires of passion. Love is an absolutely magnificent thing. But please remember, love alone is not enough to sustain a relationship in the long run. You also need patience, genuine thoughtfulness, and a deep, unwavering respect, not just for your partner, but for yourself as well. This reminds me of the classic short story, The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. It tells the tale of a young, poor couple living in a shabby little apartment. And though they had next to nothing, they each possessed one priceless treasure. For the husband, Jim, it was a magnificent gold watch, passed down through his family. And for the wife, Della, it was her stunningly beautiful, shimmering hair that fell like a golden waterfall. But on Christmas Eve, with only pennies to her name, Della made a heart-wrenching decision. She sold her glorious hair to buy a platinum chain for Jim's watch. Meanwhile, Jim, wanting to buy the perfect gift for his wife, sold his treasured watch to buy a set of beautiful jeweled combs for her hair. Della's sacrifice, giving up the one thing that made her feel beautiful, wasn't because she didn't value it. It was because her desire to see Jim happy was even greater. And in the same way, Jim, knowing the immense value of his watch, sold it without a second thought, just for the chance to see Della's face light up as she held the combs he bought for her. Of course, when they exchanged their gifts, both were rendered useless. But in that moment, they left us with one of the most priceless lessons about love. Now, let's not get caught up in the specific circumstances of the story. Personally, I don't think the old romantic idea of love in a cottage really holds up in this day and age. While I truly believe that sincere love exists, it's incredibly difficult to sustain that love without a foundation of financial security. We have to be realistic. But the story holds a much deeper meaning than that. On the surface, you see two foolish kids in a tiny apartment who made a silly, impractical sacrifice and lost their most prized possessions. But, in the words of the author, let it be said that of all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. They didn't just give objects, they gave a piece of themselves. They showed true consideration for one another, a willingness to give up what was precious to them in exchange for the other's joy. When you can be humble, when you can set your own ego aside for the good of the relationship, that is when love has a real chance to last a lifetime. People often say that if you want to know what real love looks like, just look at the generation of our grandparents. You can picture them now. On the porch of their modest home, Grandpa sits with his legs crossed, reading the paper and sipping his tea. Grandma sits beside him, shelling peas into a bowl. The old tabby cat is curled up by the door, peacefully grooming itself. The neighbors and grandchildren will tell you they never once saw him raise his voice to her and never once saw her truly angry with him. About 60 years ago, not long after they were married, he had to move far away to find work. She stayed behind, raising 2 children on her own, caring for his ailing mother, and managing the entire household without a single word of complaint. She was a fortress, taking care of her husband's family while also working. Then one day, she fell ill. Thankfully, it wasn't too serious, so she wrote him a letter telling him not to worry and to stay focused on his work. And yet, just a few days later, he had submitted his resignation and was on a train, coming home to be with her for good. When she tells these old stories now, she just smiles and says, "Well, I was young and had my health, so I could sacrifice a little more. My husband is a very proud man. He didn't want to be stuck in our small town forever. He had big dreams. As his wife, it was my job to be the rock he could depend on, so he could go out and build a better life for us." Hearing this, he just lets out a hearty laugh. But every letter she wrote, he'd add, she'd say how much she missed me and was thinking of me. It made me anxious. I loved her, and I was so worried about how hard she was working back home. I was just trying to stick it out a few more years to save up enough to make their lives a little easier. But when I heard she was sick, how could I possibly stay away? Our parents' and grandparents' generation, they managed to stay together until their hair turned gray because of their incredible tolerance and patience with each other. Whether a love can last, whether it can deepen, is all thanks to this power of forgiveness. It sounds like such a grand, imposing word, but really, it's about understanding each other, letting things go, and making sacrifices for one another. A grandmother knew her husband was trying his best for her, so she tried her best too. And in return, he understood the silent sacrifices she made for him, so he worked even harder for their future. They lived for each other. That is true tolerance. But not everyone gets this right. It's crucial to understand that tolerance doesn't mean blindly forgiving every single mistake. It isn't about a man being weak or a woman suffering in silence, or vice versa. There's this story about a couple. The boyfriend did something wrong. After a heated argument, his girlfriend, furious, walked out. He immediately showed up with flowers, chocolates, and gifts to apologize. Her anger faded, and things went back to normal. A while later, he made the exact same mistake. And once again, faced with his apologies and promises, she let it go. Then it happened a third time. the very same mistake. But this time, she didn't cry. She didn't even want to argue anymore. And just like that, they broke up. Sometimes a passing moment of thoughtlessness can accidentally hurt the person we love, but we fail to see it because it seems so insignificant from our perspective. Just a minor detail, not worth dwelling on. But these little things, so often ignored, begin to accumulate month after month, year after year, until one day, the balloon of patience is stretched so tight it can't hold another ounce of carelessness. And then it pops. What the girlfriend needed wasn't the apologies, not the gifts meant to show he cared. What she desperately needed was for him to truly pay attention and to change. But did her boyfriend ever really understand that? His apologies were just a down payment for the next mistake, because he truly believed that if you mess up, saying sorry makes it okay. They were in love after all, and in love, you're supposed to forgive everything. Everyone has their own reasons, but in the end, almost all the hurt in this world comes from a lack of understanding, from things left unsaid, allowing sadness to build up until one person simply can't face it anymore, and they decide to walk away. Forgiveness and generosity should never be confused with blind love. And that's why, here at Mind Window, we believe another essential pillar for a lasting love is respect for your partner and for yourself. Tolerance is when you understand that they made a mistake, but you know in your heart they didn't mean to cause harm, so you forgive them. Attentiveness is when they acknowledge their mistake, apologize, and then actively work to fix it. And respecting yourself is when you've spoken your truth, shared your feelings, but you're still being ignored. It's having the strength to let go of that thing called love to save yourself from a future of pain. And that right there is the profound difference that separates a love that is real from a love that exists in name only. Over 4,000 years ago, the first poem ever written was about love, a sweet ancient Sumerian ballad. To this day, love remains the same, as beautiful as flowers opening themselves to the morning sun. Instead of E equals MC squared, perhaps we should accept that the energy that heals the world can be generated by love multiplied by the speed of light squared. We can safely conclude that love is the one truly unbeatable, infinite force. I'll still find myself giggling when I read the old love letters my dad wrote to my mom. My cheeks will still flush when I see a couple completely lost in their own world. I'll still cry my eyes out over the bittersweet, unfinished stories of young love. Reading a love poem will still make me smile for no reason, or maybe shed a quiet tear for a sadness I can't quite name. And my heart will always ache for those who love with all their soul, but are not loved in return. We may have been in love, or maybe we've never been in love at all. But eventually, we will love, and we will continue to love. This life has meaning because love exists. We hope this episode has helped you in some small way. We at Mind Window understand that asking someone who's been through the pain of a breakup, who has suffered in love, to believe in something eternal is not an easy thing. But you know, some of the most beautiful things in this world only exist because we dare to believe in them. So now, let's return to the question from the very beginning of our journey together. Do you believe in love? If this story resonated with you, if it gave you something to reflect on, please give this video a like, subscribe to Mind Window for more journeys into the heart, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. We would love to hear your story and your thoughts, so please leave a comment below and let's continue the conversation.